we're gonna continue on trying to make the bark or the trunk, and all I'm doing is putting pool noodles together and fusing them together with a heat gun. So I thought I already did that side, but I guess I didn't. Anyway, angle down, there we go. So I'm gonna take these here and just make a 90 by fusing them together like that. Let's try that. So just use a heat gun. Line them up. So that's sitting in the crotch of the other one. I don't mind it being staggered because I think I was going to do that anyway. Doesn't take a ton of heat. Just got to melt the two surfaces together real quickly and then hold it for a second. I'm going to have to spin it so that I can do it easier. Get that out of there. See how that does. It's pretty quick and simple. You can see how Alan Hops does this on Stilt Beast Studios. But yeah, so that's fused together better than any glue will hold it. It's because it's melted together. Now it's one. Don't let it win. It's one. That's funny. Okay, let's see how that fits around a corner now. That does well. That's going to work. Okay, now I need to get the rest of it in here. Some kid yelling. A little girl walking down the street in the rain. Yeah, I remember when I was that age. I love playing in the rain. To be a kid again, eh? Alright, I'm going to put this knot in here. Somewhere. You can either go this way or that. Just stick it here. Let's go this way. Hold as well. Put the way it's going to hold this. A little bit. Put another one down here maybe. I might just stick this in here. Ouch. Arthritis. That hurts. You can put little pieces of this all over this if you really want to. I got a bunch here. Do that. Here. Alright, so I started to paint all these pool noodles black. And so what we're gonna do is get a nice little bit of black. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, like you can see a little bit of the color coming through, but that's all right because it's gonna get wrapped in plastic. I don't want it too colorful underneath the plastic. I want it to have black so it has a nice base. So let me turn this around and get the other side. Maybe. I don't know how easy this is going to be to spin, but try it. So this whole thing's like a sleeve. It'll just pop up and down. So I got a box holding that up while I'm doing this. Put a mask on. Oh shit. I got pain on my fingers. Important to wear some type of face covering mask. I just put a paper mask for now. I got the garage door open, so it'll be all right. And we're just gonna darken it all up. I don't want a multicolored tree, so I need nice dark tones. So this underlying base will help. I want to go to mount the plastic onto it. Any parts that melt all the way through, it'll just be black underneath it. And we're still going to paint over top of it anyway, but this is a good practice to just coat it all in black first. That's what I do with all of any corpsing project and all like that. So, because the black will draw out like any of the cracks and crevices, it'll give it more detail. So, it's a little heavier here. And contrary to popular belief, spray paint does not melt pool noodles. Other foams it will, but not the closed cell foam of pool noodles. Like styrofoam, definitely. You spray paint it, it's gonna eat it right up. I mean, it melted a little bit, but not like you would think. It doesn't really deform it. I've painted a lot of pool noodle projects. And if you don't believe me, ask Alan Hops, Stoke Beach Studios, because that's where I got that information. Well, I already knew that. I'd have painted plenty of pool noodles before he said that, but I agree with what he has to say. That's a wives' tale. Some creators will say, oh, you can't spray paint pool noodles. The hell you can't. What am I doing right now? That's probably good enough for a base. Save the rest of this can. Hold the can upside down until it comes out clear. And that clears out your nozzle. Now, I've got this painter's 0.7 mil painter's plastic that we're going to wrap around it. So, we're going to start off just by doing this. And it's kind of good that the paint is still wet because it'll stick to it. Wrap around it. Like I said, it doesn't matter with the wrinkles. Let's get it all the way up top. We're gonna wrap we're gonna wrap this a couple times. Now, you could go in with the heat gun right now and start shrinking it on there, or you can wrap it more, which I'll probably wrap it more. Doesn't it look like a tree? It will. I promise you eventually. Well, if it doesn't, then I'm gonna do something to make it work. Okay. Actually, I think I will go ahead and melt some of that because that'll get it, is this plugged in? Yes. Adhering to the pool noodles. You don't have to melt it too bad, too hard. Help it stay, it melts to itself. This can take a while. This tree, it's starting to look like a tree, and when I get it all, the rest of it corpsed up and, you know, get it barked out, kind of stain it with like a tan colored base over top of this black underneath. See what I mean by painting it black first? So any spot that comes through, it's got this nice black base underneath the plastic. Then I'm going to paint it. You'll lightly paint it or dry brush it basically with a tan colored latex paint, and that'll give it another coat of base. You could go over that with a darker here and there afterward, and then the final coat would be a dark wood stain you put on it, and that'll make it draw it in and make it look like bark. So it's going to be cool looking, I promise you. I don't know if I'm going to get the branches looking so great, but I'm going to try. All right, that's it for today. So this is the progress on the tree that I'm making for the Scare-Ousel swing ride. This is basically just a sleeve. It's all made of pool noodles and melted plastic over top and then painted. Still have some more painting to do on it. I'm going to dry brush it with some light colored, tan colored latex, and then I'm going to put some dark stain over it to make it more wood grain looking. But it looks pretty good the way it is now. Hard to tell when the shadows here come on the side where the sun's hitting it. Beautiful day today. It's 62 degrees in West Virginia, beginning of February. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. It was -7 a week ago. Anyway, it's starting to look pretty cool. I got some little knots and stuff that stick out. Those are just little cut off pieces of pool noodle that I melted in there. We're going to put some skulls on it and some eyeballs in it and stuff like that. It should look pretty cool. So yeah, it's wipe off most of the excess, and then you're just going to go through and brush it. Brush over it, and it doesn't have to be full coverage. So yeah, dab some paint on, knock it off, and then just lightly go over it, the whole thing. This will give you like the grain before you put on because your brush strokes will give you kind of like a grainy effect. And when I put the stain over top of it, then all those little brush strokes will look like grain and it'll show through. Just do a quick deal with all this. You can come back later and it just spot in the black into these knots and stuff after I get the, I probably will do that as the very last thing after I get it stained. This is already dry up top. I wonder if I want any hash marks. Not necessarily. You could try that. Doesn't really matter as long as the latex paint. And this is a light tan color. And what that's going to do is that's going to make I'm going to put wood stain on it next, but this is going to draw out, it's going to create a grainy look, and then it'll give nice contrast when I put the dark wood stain on it. It'll make the dark stain a little lighter, and it'll make it look like wood. And plus, with having, you just dry brush it lightly, and so you still have dark colors underlying, and that'll give it even more detail once you put the wood stain on. So that's that. I'm gonna go to Walmart, pick up some black paint and some stuff, and call it a day. Alrighty. I've got some wood stains here that we're gonna put on this now. It's ready to be stained. Tree of Terror, or Tree of Agony, or whatever we would decide to call it, for our Scare-Ousel swings. But anyway, here I have an ebony, so we can get on both cameras. Ebony, Special Walnut, and Early American. Early American is typically the one we use for this, but ebony will make it darker, so I'm gonna, Special Walnut is gonna be a lighter color, so we're gonna go with Early American and ebony, and maybe mix the two together. I don't know if they've mixed or not. Set it over here on my little stool. You can put the hammer away. That's my version of putting things away. Just set it aside. So, and then I'll just kind of mix that around in this cup. Or what would you call this? A little Tupperware. I'm calling it a cup, but it's not really a cup. Okay, so let's try that. It looks like it has a little more red tinge. Yeah, definitely. That's kind of what I want, I think. So, yeah, that's nice. It's a nice dark. I may want it a little darker, but I'm not sure if the stain is going to dry lighter. But we're just going to go through it. And if you notice, this is going to draw out more of those little wrinkles and lines and stuff, and it's going to give it a wood grain look. Had I not based or put the latex paint on it, this wouldn't adhere as well. It kind of run more off the plastic. So some people try to just put the stain right directly on the plastic, but you need to put the latex paint on first. And using a light color over top of a dark color, which is over top of a black, gives you so much contrast that you can work with. And then if I want to come back and darken up these spots, I can just either use a black spray paint or use some black. I actually bought some black paint. I don't know if it's latex, but I think it's probably acrylic or something, but you can come back and touch up over it. And those, or I could use my airbrush. That would be a good thing. I should get that back out. I haven't used that in quite a while. And then you can mix the paints together and put whatever you want. But I think that's coming out pretty nice. I really like it. And you see how, like all these wrinkles and stuff in it. For one, it gives it texture, and two, it holds in the dark stain and it makes it stand out. You get all this detail once you do this. Put it on kind of thick. This might take a day or two to dry. Okay, so that's starting to look really good. I really like it. I knew this would be worth doing. I could probably come back after this dries with an ebony stain, but a stain over stain usually doesn't do a lot, but we'll try it. I'll try with the stain first, and then if that doesn't work, we'll put like an epoxy or acrylic or something like that on it. So I'm going to do the rest of this. I can probably fast forward through all of this stuff anyway. I probably will. Yeah. All right, I paused. I put a mask on for safety. I found a little red mahogany I put in with it. I had to mix up just a little bit more, but I didn't realize I had some red mahogany in there. I wish I'd used that, but I might just go back over this a little bit. I just have a little bit left to finish up over here, and we'll see what that looks like. Oh man, I like that so much better. I'm gonna go over the whole thing with it. So anyway, so much better. Let's see if this makes a difference on this side. See how that darkens it out? It brings a little reddish out. We're just going to do a quick brush over with that, since it's already based out with the other stain. Hopefully I won't need as much. Yeah, I think that helps darken it up some. Let's see. I'm happy with it. It looks like a tree to me. All right, I'm just going to work on, see what we can do about making some bridges. And there we go, there we have it for now. Yeah, I mean, then we're gonna, I can come off of these with more branches swooping up. I've got some 9-gauge wire that I can shape things with and then run pull noodles through it. So, and corpse over it. It's gonna be cool, I promise. Okay, so this is the next step. Tree's pretty much done as much as I want to do here until I get it home. And the next step, what I already started, was take some of this, where's this brace wire? This is some 9-gauge wire here. This is going to be used for armature so that I can make some branches up here. I already put one in. I just drilled a hole through the pipe right here. Okay, and then fed it through and then kind of wrapped it around the pipe. And then this pretty stiff stuff, it'll pretty much hold. It's going to move around a bit, but it'll hold its shape fairly well, I think, especially once I get it corpsed up. So I'm going to do a couple of those on each branch, probably 2 on each branch, and then this will be like the 3rd one hanging out, and maybe I'll put a piece of wire in there too to hold that more rigid. And then I'll put pool noodle over top of it, kind of like I did on that pipe. And then I will do this technique over that to make it look like branches. Yeah, so it's going to look like the branches are holding the swings that come down from here. So, and our swings are hanging on the door over here. So, clowns. So that'll be that. Let's put you back on the stand and we'll get to working on that. All right, so I drilled 2 holes here. One I've already got done, and so I'm going to cut this brace wire, which is over here. Hopefully you can see that. Anyway, I'm going to cut this back to about here. And I have a little Dremel I'm going to cut that with. I tried using my snips. I don't have tin snips with me, so I'm just going to use this little Dremel to cut this. So I can just cut it back right about here. Make sure you wear your safety glasses. All right, so then I'll just feed this through the other hole that I drilled, which is kind of the other direction of this. There it goes. All right, yeah, then that poked up through. Just feed that all the way up through. Let's see how long that is. That's probably good enough. We don't want it too long because we don't want too much weight hanging way out. And just wrap that up around the pole. Somewhat tight. And bring that back in. And then we can shape this however we want. Let's say we come down here, maybe up a little, make it look kind of creepy, maybe out back. They'll be able to bend these, should be able to bend these after the fact. Hopefully it's going to be rigid enough to hold its shape without just drooping down. All right, we'll see. Continue on trying to make some branches for this thing. I'm going to try a couple different methods. I did this method, it comes out pretty good because we're still going to wrap plastic around it and corpse it. So, who knows. I'm going to do a long sheet of this. Just bought this cheap Walmart foil. And I figured to wrap it around this way a time or two. So we have a long section of this. We're just gonna, let's see what this does. Let's just wrap some plastic. We're just wrapping plastic. Let's just wrap it around so haphazardly. Get the heat gun out. I'm gonna take a second to heat this thing up. I don't know which way that was going, doesn't really matter. All right. Yeah, that's gonna work. I think so. So let's make hands on these other two. See how that works. So this one, yeah. Let's come back here with it. One. All right, well, I'm going to try spinning this with this one side, arms on it, see what happens. Not sure what's going to happen. Hopefully it'll be all right. If we keep this going pretty slow, it's probably going to be okay. The only thing I worry about is high winds, when it's outside. Spin it around. This is a test, so I need to put it to its test. See that tree wobbling? That's because it's all balanced. I want to get all the other sides on it. Hopefully that'll balance out some. I don't know. If it moves, then that's, hey, it's just that much more movement. It shakes back and forth like that. See how it's rocking?